Hello everybody, it's Lizzie Brooks here, and welcome to Where Muscle Meets Mindful. JoJo and I are here to bring you yoga for when you feel like shit. So I've heard from a lot of you, I say, how are you? And you say, I feel like shit. And I'm actually loving the honesty, because sometimes that's how we feel. I have had days when I felt like that too. And so has JoJo. JoJo has had less days of feeling like shit, because if she has something to chew, she's pretty good. And looks like it's her nap time. So let's begin. Go ahead and find a comfortable seat. If you want to grab a blanket, feel free to prop your hips up and make your back feel less like shit. So sometimes raising your back up, or raising your hips up rather, higher than your knees, or at least to the height of your knees, can make the hips feel more comfortable, lumbar more comfortable. And just go ahead and close the eyes. So we're closing that sense of sight off so we can go in a little more internally and be less sort of outwardly focused. So obviously there's a lot going on, and it's normal to feel a little less adjusted during times like this. So just give yourself permission to be really sweet with yourself and forgiving. And it's completely okay and understandable that you got a little riled up and you didn't feel so good. So you might feel physically like shit, you might feel emotionally like shit. There's a lot of levels. I will say this, if you feel physically really, really sick or really bad, please don't do this practice today. This is more for an emotional level, and physical as far as just being tired or cranky and maybe having not moved very much recently. Not so much like you have the flu or you're actually sick. So use it another day if that's the case and feel better. Take a deep breath in and a big loud sigh out. Good. Inhale, this time roll the sternum up and forward, roll the shoulder blades onto the back, lift open a little bit. Inhale with a broad chest, and then sigh out. Now round back, round the shoulders forward, open up through the back body, draw the chin gently in, inhale and exhale here. Now we'll bring this together a little bit. Inhale, roll any amount forward and up, sternum rises, shoulder blades back. The gaze is the last thing to come up. And then exhale, round down, shoulder blades roll forward, open through the back of the heart, stretch. One more time, inhale, roll up through that seated cat pose, and then exhale, round through that, cow pose, and then through that seated cat pose here. And then inhale, come all the way up, wiggle the shoulders around, and find spaciousness through the neck, any way that feels good to you. And then from here, go ahead and take one foot out to the side. I'm going to scoot back a little bit here. So you have one knee up and the other knee is down. This is pretty find it your own way type of a thing. If you need to go higher on higher blanket, then add that. And just from here, it's almost like you're doing a half malasana, a half squat. So half of this. Breathe here. Take one hand to your ankle or your shin and just open that elbow into that leg and roll any amount to the blade edge of that foot. Sit up tall, a little bit of a back bend even. Inhale and exhale. Good. And then we'll go to the other side. Other foot comes in, other foot out, knee is bent, roll the shoulders back, sit up tall. And then feel for any amount of external rotation, so that we're asymmetrical here, any amount of external rotation on that upper hip. Obviously the lower hip is already in external, but we're not really kind of bringing that deeper stretch in like we are here. Inhale and exhale that out. Bring both legs together, hands to the knees again. This time Round the head down, 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 down. Roll in, any amount. Collapse the posture, collapse, collapse, collapse. And then inhale, slowly build it back all the way up. And then sigh out. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Interlace the fingers, round. Keep the fingers interlaced unless that's not okay on the shoulders. Lift the arms up. Let's get some breath into these lungs. Open through the side body. Make sure that the neck is relaxed here. And if you want to add a little bit of side to side twisting, you can add that on. Freeing up through the shoulders and the spine. So a lot of times when we don't feel good, we've been in a posture that's kind of rolled forward or collapsed a little bit, and we don't do the opposite opening. So do that now. Inhale, exhale, slower than you want to go. Take the arms into a straight line to the sides, and then press away what you don't need. If this is too much to have the hands at that L shape, that 90 degrees, soften that or put the fingertips straight. Breathe here. And exhale the rest of the way down with the arms. Roll the shoulders back and down a few times. And from here, we're gonna come all the way down onto our bellies. So if you want to use your blanket underneath you for some padding, I recommend that. Open it by one, if yours was like mine. And come on down. And we're gonna come into a Sphinx pose. So I like to take my elbows off of the blanket so that my elbows aren't higher than my wrists. Spread the fingers gently wide, and tops of the feet are to the floor. So I want you to notice that I don't have my feet together. I'm gonna make this more casual and easy on my low back. So wherever that position is for your feet, find that. And then draw the elbows and the hands gently back, a little bit of a pull back as you draw the sternum forward without lifting the chin. So not here, but more so finding the back bend. And then if the gaze lifts a little bit, that's fine. Breathing here, opening through that chest, finding that gentle back bend. If this is too much, elbows come a little more forward or even to the sides. Deep breath comes in, sigh it out. All right, now from here, if you want to do the abdominal work, you can join me. If not, go to a child's pose or a downward facing dog or hang out here. Bring the knees closer together for this one, feet closer together for this one. Press into the forearms and the hands. And as you root the knees down, round the spine, pick up the low belly, pick up the hips, look at the knees. Inhale, slower than you want to go. There's a lot of work in the transition. Come back into that Sphinx pose without leading with the chin. Let's do that again. Exhale, root the knees, wake up the inner thighs, pelvic floor, round in, low belly lifts, round, 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 and then very carefully, slower than molasses, coming all the way back. This is hard work. And then from here, this might make you feel more like shit. No, this is gonna make you feel stronger. Root down, lift your pelvis, round the spine, root your knees, hold this one, 3, 2, 1, and slower than the other two transitions, we'll come all the way back down, just articulating that spine, taking our time, and coming back into that Sphinx pose. Take a deep, broadening breath here, and then exhale, lift the pelvis, gain the action that you had earlier in the abdominals. When the low back is supported, then tuck the toes, walk the knees in, and press it back for a child's pose. So there's something in that transition where I wanted you to stabilize the low back first before you pressed back. So keeping that in mind for all transitions. Breathing here. You can come to a fuller version of child's pose, but if I lay all the way down, I'll crush my microphone. And then we'll rise to all fours. You might fold your blanket into 2 and come into that all fours position. And then from here, reach one leg out and then bend the knee, tap it to the other side of your lower leg, lift up and down, straighten, bend and tap, lift up and down. Last time, straighten, Bend and tap, lift up bent knee, and down. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog, pedal it out. So whenever I feel cranky or in a bad mood, I probably need to remind myself of my own strength and probably need to give myself some flexibility, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. Lower slower than you want to go. There's a theme here. Lower, slow, slow, slow. Really feel that core working. Stabilize once you get to all four, so draw that diamond shape. If you've been doing these videos with me, you know about that diamond shape, organs towards your spine. Other leg reaches back. Breathe here for a moment. Then bend and tap other side of the leg. Reach it up, lower it down. Straighten back, bend and cross, lift up, lower down. Good, last one. Straighten, bend and cross, press it up, lower slowly down, toes tucked, downward facing dog, pedal it out. So this is a really nice opportunity to get your hands down on the ground and feel grounded. Our feet are generally more on the ground than our hands, unless you're an amazing handstand circus artist. But when we put our hands down on the ground, there's like a psychological shift of going, whew, I'm rooted. Okay, there's the floor, especially if we felt we were spinning a little out of control. Lower the knees slowly down. And then rise up to high kneeling. Soften into the neck, so especially if you have a tendency to crimp up through your neck when you're in a downward dog, soften that out. There's your opportunity. And then come up to that high kneeling, face your camera. I'm gonna face towards you, face your camera, face your phone or your tablet or your computer, and I'll face towards my camera. And you guys, you look so great today. And we're gonna take a little balance, shift over to one knee more than the other. So you get to choose which side. Hands could be at the waist or used for balance out to the sides. And we're just gonna lift one knee, externally rotate, and place it to the side. Breathing here, reach the arms up, and then any amount, lean into it, and then maybe add a little reach. If you wanna pedal, or if you wanna heel toe out a little bit more, feel free to. If you want to lower that lower arm to the thigh, do that instead. Whew, breathing into the hips. Once you get a little more space in those hips safely, it sure can change your mood for the better. And let's reach, come all the way back up. Shoulders over hips, over knee, lower the arms, scoot the other knee in, and then however you want to place your hands for putting the knee back, do that. Good, let's go to a hold. So if you have a block, put it in between your thighs. If you don't, just separate the knees a little bit and just hug in without the block. The block just gives you a little feedback. So placing that block there, and we'll hug towards the midline. So remembering our center, it's really positive. Remember that midline, remember the truth at your core, breathe here. When you feel centered, you sure do say what you really mean and receive how you need to receive, rather than being all on the surface and a little flustered. And then after we've gotten a little more connection midline, we'll shift over to the other knee that you didn't shift to the first time and externally rotate here. And then from here, breathe, let that shift. And then any amount coming into it, you can reach your arms here, you can start up, you can stay up, or you can take that little lean, which will bring a little bit more into that inner thigh and also into the core work. If you want to lower the arm to the thigh, feel free here. Root into the entirety of that foot. Your back toes can be tucked, or you can be to the inner arch of that foot, depending on how deep you are in the stretch. Breathing. And then maybe reach the arms for a little more strength. Come all the way up. Slide the foot in a little bit, and however you want the arms to be for you to get back to kneeling, do that. Block or no block, hug into the midline. Breathing here. Finding that center. Inhale fully, and sigh it out. And move that block. We're also going to move the blanket. So usually in my public classes, I take time and I do a reading and we have a centering and all of that kind of stuff. But if you do want that, then absolutely you can do it on your own before you start my videos. What I'm feeling from people is they're asking for me to kind of get a little more into the movement, and I might do some separate centering. But if you haven't set an intention, come on to standing with me. Set an intention now. So come to your mountain pose and come to the middle of your mat. Breathing here. Unlock the joints a little bit here. And know why you're showing up for yourself. And then fully do show up for yourself. Don't be perfect, be human, be absolutely you. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, add a little chair pose. We did an interlacing before, so interlace the other way this time. Round the spine, round in, pubic bone towards forehead, open the back body. Inhale, come all the way to standing, reach up with or without that bind. And exhale, we're gonna go again to that straight line to the sides. If this is too much for the wrist, go straight with the wrist. Breathe here. Moving anything you don't need out and keeping anything that you don't need out and harnessing a little bit more of that brilliance inside. Inhale fully. And exhale, slowly float the arms down, roll the shoulders out. All right, widen your stance. Give a little bit of space into the neck here. And then we're gonna rotate the heels in and the knees out into a goddess squat. So don't go so far that you're so wide and you're pitching your chest forward. Chest is more up, shoulders basically a little bit forward of the hips, not so much directly over into a back bend. So make sure your sacrum feels okay, and then from here we're just gonna do some leg work and keeping those hips open. So we're all stronger than we think we are. Lift one heel, hands can be where you need them, and lower it. Lift the other heel, and lower it. Good. Let's do that again. Lift, lower, lift. If you're trembling and stuff like that, it's totally normal, and lower. And then from here, if your feet are really wide, bring them a little closer in and see if you can lift both. Then draw the hips a little further down, breathing here. Okay, so finding that balance. If this is too much, lower the heels. And then lower, straighten up the legs, reach the arms, press them back, open the chest, roll the shoulders back. Turn your heels back, interlace the fingers or hands to the waist. Inhale, fully lift the heart. Remember that Sphinx pose we did. Keep that feeling here. Exhale, fold with or without the bind all the way to your comfort level. You can always put your hands down on the floor if this is a little bit too much. Opening those hamstrings, shoulders, and then broadening the breath into the side ribs. Bend the knees any amount. Inhale, come all the way back up and shake out the arms here. Again, check in with the neck. We're gonna go back into the legs. So sit on down into that goddess squat. One knee is going to stay in external rotation, the other one's going to go to internal. So just like you started before, lift one heel, then rotate that knee in and down, the other heel lifts, your other leg stays as it was. Rotate up and put the heel back down. If this is too much on your mat, come to a wood floor or a tile floor and it'll help you rotate a little easier. Lift the other heel like we practiced. Roll in. Now you have internal rotation here. Make sure your knee and toes are pointed the same direction. Breathe, up and back. Good. And then from here, one more time each side. Lift the heel, rotate in. This is hard work. It's hard to talk to you guys right now. Lift and lower. And there's only one more, so hallelujah. Lift, rotate in, open it up, lower. Go to the distance away from the floor with your pelvis that feels right to you. Take a deep breath in, shake it on out through the arms and shoulders, and then let everything straighten. Arms reach out to the side, legs rise up, Ooh, that feels good. Heels draw straight back. This time arms go forward, either down to the floor or blocks, or if you want to walk the elbows back and bend them over the wrists, feel free. Then walk it up hands under the shoulders. And then from here, we're gonna externally rotate one hip, bend that knee, and walk towards it. Lift the heel now, lift the toes. We lifted the heel earlier, lift the toes. And then any amount come to supporting underneath you, not forward, but underneath you, and see if you can slide your extended leg a little closer in for your half malasana pose. That's kind of why we started with that one side external rotation, to prep the hips a little bit. Spread your toes here. If this is too much, use blocks underneath you to sit upon. Optional, opening into a twist. One hand comes in front or behind the knee, other arm up if that's okay. Gaze could be up or neutral or down. Bring the hands back to the heart and then back underneath you. So not forward of you, but really underneath you to help you. Now lift your pelvic floor. Lift and press down into the floor. And then we're gonna come to the other side. So I wanna say something here. There's a lot of people who kind of come here. I'll show you where my hips are. They're here and they say, well, there's no way, I can't go any further. It's all just about the proximity of the other leg for the most part. This doesn't mean that your hip flexibility doesn't come into play here. It means that for some people, they do have enough flexibility, but it's just proximity. So I'll show you that. For those people who do have the flexibility, but they're up here and they don't know what to do, it's literally putting the hands more underneath you, sliding your other heel closer, lifting the hips, and then allowing the hips to come down. So it's basically like, well, you were too far away. Now you bring it closer, closer, closer. And now your sitting bone can come near the heel. If your heel is lifted, that's okay. Optional open twist. Breathing here, a lot of work into opening through that groin and then those hamstrings. So we don't just have one hamstring on the back of each leg. We gotta get to all of the hamstrings. Inhale, exhale, bring the hands in, take them underneath you. Go into your wide-legged half fold here. Feel yourself rooting, sending anchors down to the floor, bend the knees any amount, bring your hands to your waist, elbows draw back, and come all the way up. And shake that out. And then heel toe or hop in. If you're hopping, hop in with very bent knees. So start with bent knees and land with the bent knees. All right, and shake that out and come back into your mountain pose. Just notice how you feel through the pelvis. And then if you notice that you're hardening any of the joints, soften that out. Be in the most wonderful aligned relationship with gravity. And deep breath in and shake it on out. Come over to the top of your mat, whichever is the top today for you. We'll call this the top. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees any amount, fold or half fold. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, step or jump back into your plank pose. Then from here, you choose, do you go to downward dog, child's pose, or take a vinyasa? Maybe rock the heels forward, chaturanga, cobra or upward facing dog, whichever feels best for you. And then drawing from the deep core into downward facing dog, pedal that out. Optional here is to widen the stance. Maybe take the hands a little closer to the feet, and when I say a little, I mean like 2 inches. And then either pressing the heart back, take your right hand onto your heart, or cross your right hand over to somewhere on the outside of the left leg. Now notice I'm not kind of here. I'm pressing the heart back a little bit, and I'm not collapsed either. So there's structure there as well as stretch. And then twisting and opening any amount the torso. So I'm pressing forward and down with my left hand. If this bothers the shoulders, it's not the pose for you today. Choose something better. And then coming back in, take the feet together, plank pose. Rock the heels forward. Your choice of movement here, if you're taking a vinyasa or not. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Stay exactly where you are. I'm transitioning this way so that I can face you when I twist. Widen your stance. Make sure you're not forward with your shoulders or too far dropped with them, but nice and structurally sound. Either pressing forward and down with the right hand and touching your heart, or crossing over anywhere left hand to the outside of the right leg. Rolling the shoulders back, and then rotating around any amount for that twist. Breathing here. So letting some new blood flow come to the head, letting the contents of the heart kind of travel down into the mind. So you can think of it that way, that all that good stuff in your heart is now coming into the forefront of your mind. And if not, fake it till you make it. Hands come down, feet come closer together or together. Plank pose. Hi, Josie girl. She's having a good nap. Chaturanga, or all the way to the floor through it. Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So you're gonna step to the top of your mat. You can hop there if you'd rather. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees any amount. You choose your way to come to standing. And exhale, samasthiti, which means steady and even. Hands to the heart. Deep breath in. And sigh that out, shake that out. Do you ever notice that sometimes dogs sleep in the most uncomfortable positions? Her head is just hanging out of that. The yoga teacher in me wants to fix that. All right, bring your hands to your waist. Bend the knees. All right, choose one leg. Step it back. Let's create a high lunge. Breathing here. So first I want you to just find it in the legs, find it in the feet, make sure the low back feels good. And then from here, there's a balance aspect to what we're gonna do. We're gonna reach the arms out to the sides. Oh, it looks like my hand is gigantic. And pretend there's a doorknob there, like you're Alice in Wonderland and you've shrunk down and there's like this giant doorknob. And you're going to turn that doorknob. And while you do that, you're actually gonna roll the shoulder blades with that turn, open into major external rotation, and round it into major internal rotation. How far you take your torso forward with that or back is up to you. It's a balance. This is a balanced posture, so keep that in mind. You might keep your torso up and do it just in the shoulders if you want. Reaching out to the side, find your Alice in Wonderland giant doorknobs. Roll your thumbs back and up, turn the doorknobs, lift through the sternum any amount here. Wake up that back leg so you get that nice stretch here. And now from here, any amount, you can stay up or you can take the torso forward as you round, take the shoulder blades away from the back of the rib cage here a little bit, round in, and then roll up, open the doorknob the other direction, roll up, expand, and exhale, rounding down. If you're falling, then don't lean as far forward and widen your stance more. Inhale, roll it up. We'll stay in that rolled up position and then maybe reach the thumbs back, lift the sternum from the floor to the heart, expand. So you're rooting down to open and expand up, reach up, interlace the fingers if you'd like, and breathe here. You can reach up and back a little bit or stay nice and tall in the spine. It's up to you. If you reach back a little bit, neutralize the spine, float the arms down. Put both hands to the inner arch of your front foot. Then lower your back knee. If you need to put a blanket there, do that. Now what we see a lot is kind of being here and shifting back, and I love that one too, but we're not doing that one right now for the purposes of this practice. So keep your hips where they are, which is going to be a hard thing to do. And from here, you might want to walk your hands a little more forward. You're going to bend your elbows around your spine, drape your head. Then inhale, roll the chest and heart up, open. Exhale, bend the elbows any amount, round in, drape the head. Inhale, come all the way up. Last one, rolling in, elbows bend any amount. Inhale, roll it up. Ooh, that's a good one for the hips. So again, I sometimes see people doing like a rolling in and their hips are moving, but keep them where they are. Then from here, straighten your arms if they're not, lift the back knee, and then choose where you want to go for your side angle. So you can stay here, circle the back heel down and open up, maybe coming to the fingertips. Maybe you're here, or maybe you're using a block on the inside or outside of that front leg. So happy in the legs, awake in the inner thighs, and the feet are the distance apart where you feel totally structurally sound, but you're also getting a stretch. Neck is happy, so if you're open up here and it hurts the neck, look somewhere else. And then from here, we're going to take it back down, lift the back heel, hands on either side of your front foot now, and slowly step back to plank. If you're taking a vinyasa here, do so, take your time. If you're skipping it, skip it and just lovingly skip it and let it go. Deep breath in and sigh it out. Look to the top of your mat, step or hop there. Inhale, rise halfway up. Hi, Jojo. Exhale, fold. Inhale, however it feels safe for you, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Shake that all out. Hands to the waist. I'm going to go to the other side. And then from here, soften the knees, and we'll step the other leg back. So the thing with this is that you don't want to feel like you're way far back and you're dropped and that you just feel cluttered here. So again, the distance away that feels right to you. And then find it in the legs, find it in the pelvis. As you're ready, find your doorknobs. And it's all about imagination. And then from here, roll the thumbs back, coil any amount back, or keep it just housed in the shoulders. Exhale, lean forward or don't as you round, round, round in, draping even the head. Inhale, roll the thumbs out and back, opening the chest. Exhale, round it in. Shoulder blades move away from the back body a little bit differently here. And then inhale, roll it back. Press back any amount here. Expand through the chest, wake up the legs. Let the arms come up. If you want to interlace them the other way, feel free to interlace them here. If you want to do like a tiny little shifting here, anything that wiggles out any tension, let that go. Inhale, exhale. Let's take the hands down to the floor. Lower that back knee to the mat or to the blanket. Keep your hips as they are, and then roll your chest open and bend the elbows any amount, round down. Inhale, roll up any amount of straightening the arms, opening. Exhale, round, elbows draw back, head draws down. Last one, inhale, open, and exhale, draw down. Inhale, draw it up. Straighten the arms, lift the back leg. Put one hand now on the outside of that front foot, so both are now framing your foot. Step back. Do you vinyasa or do you not? Only you know. Inhale, come all the way up. Let's transition to a child's pose. Roll the wrists out. Oh, in all of that, I forgot our side angle pose. Weren't you so excited when you thought you didn't have to do it? Ha ha. Downward facing dog. Step that same foot as last time forward. Let's circle that lower heel down and then open it up. So again, how you're building this pose is up to how it feels, not how it looks. So if this feels right, stay here. If you need to come up a little higher, do. If there's a different arm position, right, it's all up to you. Gaze is also up to you. And then from here, rotate back down. This time we'll skip the vinyasa because you already did it. Step back into downward facing dog, pedal it all out. Lower down to the knees. Take it back into that child's pose, roll the wrists out, move the fingers around a little bit, and let's check in with that neck and shoulder connection, even the jaw. So soften the jaw as if the softening is starting in the inner ears all the way into the jaw. And then from here, rising up to all fours. I am going to use a blanket under my knees here, so I invite you to do the same. And it doesn't matter what kind of blanket it is. It could be a towel too. And then from here, I'm just going to find a way to move my spine that brings me into a shape that I'm not trying for. Meaning I don't come up with an idea in my head, like a name of a posture. Oh, I want to make that shape. It's more like an amoeba where just a sexy amoeba. It's like, that's a gross thing to think about, just that good looking amoeba. No, that it just means you can change and shift in any way that feels good to you. Maybe you're shifting your hips off to the sides. Maybe you're doing classic cat-cow. Maybe all of this is happening on the floor with your forearms in puppy pose, but just find new space and breathe it. All right. And then from here, taking the blanket underneath your hips for your seated posture and building that however that feels good to you. And just take a pause. If you'd rather be an internally rotated, in fact, yes, an afterthought, but I think it's good. If you want to be an internally rotated, then I'm actually going to do that. Then you can use a block and sit on the block with the knees together and the feet separated, or the knees semi-close together, or you can sit back on your heels, whatever feels right to you. And then just find your breath here. Because we did so much external rotation, I think it makes sense that we add an internally rotated posture here. And calm down through the breathing. And find a singular focus. That doesn't mean that other things won't come in. It just means that you are attempting to focus on one thing. So let it be something positive. Let it be a color or the sound of your breath or a loved one or a word, whatever it is, any image, find that. Today's my anniversary. My word is love. It's so cheesy. All right, I'm going with cheesy. All right, so find that word. Not only breathe it in, but offer it out. So a lot of times in yoga, we talk about things that we want to bring in and then we want to get rid of stuff. And that's cool. Bring stuff in and get rid of stuff. But we forget that we actually have stuff to offer. So we can breathe in love and breathe out love. We can put that out there the same. Deepest breath. And sigh out. So I'm going to bring in a breathing technique. So I haven't done any pranayama in my, anything more than kind of some general stuff in my videos yet. And I used to just be like, pranayama, how boring, before I was enlightened. Please bear with me on this. This is really good for changing your mood. If you feel bad, if you feel stuck and not creative, and also good for headaches and just a number of things. This is my favorite pranayama. It's alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, and there's a few different hand positions for it. I like to use on my right hand, my thumb and my ring finger, but that can be a little tricky for people. So some people use their thumb and their pinky, or their thumb and their first finger, whatever it is that works for you. Don't stress the hand. I don't want you to be thinking about your hand stress when you're trying to de-stress through your breath. So I'm going to bring you through it, and just take a moment, find Samavriti, which is even inhale and even exhale. And then on this next inhale, close your right nasal passage down. Inhale slowly through the left nostril. Close the left nasal passage, open the right nostril, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close that, exhale through the left. Now close your eyes. Inhale left. Close, open right, exhale. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Slowing down. Inhale left. Exhale right. Soften the shoulders and neck. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale right, inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale all the way left. Hands facing down on your thighs. Breathing either even inhale and even exhale, or let the exhale be a little longer than the inhale. I don't know if you can hear this right now, but Josephine, my little puppy here, has a nose whistle. He has a nose whistle going on. How many times have I done pranayama in a class when I'm trying to teach it and I have a nose whistle? Inhale fully. And sigh, shake it out. So I hope that you stayed for that portion of the practice and maybe got a feel for how that pranayama changed you, maybe just as much or maybe even more than the actual movement. So that's something that's really easy to do. You can do that in bed. You can do that seated anytime. You can do it in your car when you don't need both hands on the steering wheel. You can do it at a stoplight. Really simple way to stop feeling like, poo-poo. So I've really enjoyed being your teacher today, and I hope you have a beautiful day. If you have any comments or questions, please ask them below. I definitely take a look at those and I respond to them. And if you would hit the subscribe button, a lot of folks are watching these videos and enjoying them and not hitting subscribe because I think they just don't know that it actually matters to the owner of the channel. So please do that, and I will see you back here for more muscle and mindful as soon as you come back.